6th of July, 2024, 10:39 a.m. in Snohomish, Washington, United States of America. Welcome once again to our Cosmic Journey, the Dev and Design podcast highlighting our path from making the world's best astrology software. Designer Jake with engineer Trey, as always. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake.
You know, I nailed the intro, I rewrote the intro and I nailed it like 2 times in a row. And then I was like, yeah, I got it. And I flub it every time.
That's okay.
Happy.
I never know where to look. I feel like I'm like Dr. Steve Brule. I'm like, which camera am I? Which camera am I going
You only
to?
have one camera. That's
I
the
know,
thing.
which makes it ironic.
Happy Independence Day week to our friends in the United States. Happy election week, election day to our friends in the UK. It's new day, honey, in the United Kingdom. Labor with a huge majority. I don't know. This is not a political podcast, but how do you feel that stars might, politically speaking, how are the stars these days?
Well, I feel like the Conservative Party took a real drubbing, which is a word, which is a word that they use in the UK.
Yeah, that's not
We
funny
don't
to
know
anybody
exactly
but
what it
me.
means.
It's not funny to me, to anyone but me or Trey, because we find the word drubbing to be very hilarious. And our friends in the UK also use the word stonking for things that
Yeah,
are like
like
big.
like just ramping up the word that comes after it.
Yeah, stonking huge majority for
Yeah.
our friends in the Labour Party. Well,
Yeah, we were watching the coverage and it just was filled with these sort of British
yeah,
colloquialisms that we enjoy.
there's many things about the British culture that we enjoy. Some of its programming, its celebrity panel shows, and political coverage is great.
Yeah.
Boring Old Bugs is the name of this episode. It's going to be a short one. I promise you. We're going to do Trey's checking question. We're going to show some bug fixes on the tech side. I'm going to show you some design bug fixes. I use that term very loosely. And then we're going to give you thanks. But ahead of that, we go to Mr. Henry for the quick check-in question.
Yeah, so the check-in question for today is, what is your favorite reward for doing a job you didn't want to do? Like you have to do some toilet scrubbing or whatever the thing is that you don't enjoy doing, but you reward yourself afterwards. What is your favorite reward?
I would say my favorite reward after doing a job that I do not like is to watch a 7 to 10 minute YouTube video that is in my huge queue of YouTube videos that I love to watch. This style of YouTube videos, which will surprise no one given the intro of this, is probably 7 to 10 minutes of like a Taskmaster task of the past. I usually watch one of those. So I did something I really didn't like this morning, and I ended up watching a Taskmaster's task around sabotaging a team, which was great. No sabotage here. Never going to sabotage anything here. Or I will watch just because I'm vaguely sporty, I'll watch a summary of a baseball game. So like usually watch Mariners versus Blue Jays. Mariners won. Good job, boys. I think it was 5-2. It's a great job. Anyways, what about you,
Yeah,
Mr. Henry?
Mariners.
Yeah, go Mariners.
I think for me, smoking a pipe. Like I picked up pipe smoking, and I think for like it's not. I don't necessarily reward myself with that like immediately afterwards because it depends on when the job was done. Because I only like smoking a pipe in the evening, but I'll be like, okay, I'll have a pipe in celebration of having gotten this whatever hard thing that I didn't want to do done. So yeah, smoking a pipe.
Yeah, and I don't think the viewer is going to be surprised at all that somebody with that beard is smoking a pipe.
It completes the look.
It completes the look. It makes perfect sense to all of us. And there are times where Trey says, I'm going to shave my beard because I hate it and you just want me to look ugly, for example. And
How dare you?
these are
That's
just,
exactly what I
I'm
would
not,
say.
how dare you repeat exactly what I would say. And what I have to remind Trey is like, if you shave that beard, then you're not going to be the type of person that can smoke a pipe. And that's going to be a problem.
I know. Yeah, then it's a real problem. So
That's a real problem. Well,
yeah.
good check-in, everybody.
Yeah, good check-in. Woo!
Good check-in. Yay. Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry, would you like to talk a little bit about the bugs that you have solved today? Why can't I find... Oh, I see. You're right there. You want to talk a little bit about the bugs that you solved in this iteration?
Yeah. So switch over to my screen here. So this cycle was mostly about addressing some underlying issues with hotkeys and the cast form. So as we demoed last time, one of the things that we mentioned at the end of the video was that all of the hotkeys were being enacted when you were trying to type in a date. So you couldn't use the character, you couldn't use the numbers 1 through 5 because those were hotkeys for moving through time. And now you can see that I have fixed this. So we're good to go there.
Nice.
That was a pretty easy fix. Um, but the other thing was that the location picker was not changing the. It was not actually picking that location until you actually cast the form, so that the big three here in the bottom right hand corner were not getting updated. And now you can see that that is now happening.
Can you do it one more time
Um,
for us? Yeah.
yeah. Let me see that again.
Yeah. Nice.
Boom. So that's now all working correctly, which is great. And then the last thing is that we, for hotkey, we wanted to throttle hotkey execution, because if you just send as many as, so I'm pressing individually, I'm going forward by day right now. So I'm pressing the number 3 on the keyboard. And now I'm going to press and hold the number 3. And as you can see, it's going fast enough to be useful,
Reasonable. Yeah.
but it's not flooding the server with a bunch of requests, which will actually not even result in data that will be seen by the user because there's too many being fired. And so it's just extra overhead by the system.
So I'm just
Uh,
gonna go to your full screen. You're not seeing what I'm seeing, but I'm just gonna go to your full screen. Can you
yep,
just press the number 3? Just
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 one time.
no, like just hold it down. It's just really
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah.
It's like
Maybe even
oh
more pretty would be no, not that one. Here's minute by minute.
yeah, a minute's okay.
Yeah, and hour
Whoa.
is of course, yeah, that's the spinning that we want. So you could do that one a little bit. That one can make a little bit more sense if we do like bring up somebody's like. So this is my birth chart, and then if we do um, moving through time there, then we're not.
That looks like the Urania demo that you did on your website for
Yeah, we're getting
Urania.app.
there.
Yeah.
But this is on the web. You just go to a web page and you get the same exact functionality. Nothing to
Yeah.
install, runs on every system.
Hopefully runs in every browser. We haven't checked all of them yet. Um,
Yeah. So
It's a good question, by the
yeah,
way, because like we've only showed desktop things for now. Eventually, I mean, this is a question to
yeah.
you, but like eventually we're going to get to mobile, and we have been experimenting with some mobile views. But I'm wondering from your perspective, like, where do you see mobile fitting in to all of this?
Yeah, I think that so we've thought about how to present astrological data in meaningful ways, and the different use cases or the different workflows that people would want to have on a mobile device. So, for example, we've talked a little bit uh, on the show.
The
I want to call it a show. Can we
podcast,
call
just call
this
it the pod. You can call it a show.
on?
It's a show.
It's a show. Let's call it a show.
Yeah.
We've talked on the show about uh, uh, being able to do horary by simply pulling up the Cosmic app and then just pressing a button to say like, now is the horary chart that I want to, and I don't want to interpret it right now. I just want to capture that I understand the question right now and I'm capturing this chart. Maybe you can give it a quick little note and then you can go back later and look at it. So that's, for example, one workflow. Another workflow is, I'm out with friends, we're like talking or whatever, and I want to bring up somebody's chart. And so I want to have a meaningful way to be able to get to somebody's chart very quickly, or like cast chart or whatever. But I also want to be able to interact with the chart in a very quick way, because probably I'm looking for like, oh, just show me the big three, or like I just want to show actually this body, like, so like, where is it, what is its essential dignity, like what's its dispositor, or maybe like what's the ruler of the ascendant. So there's probably a few things that you're looking for there, which might change depending upon whether you're talking about like pulling up somebody's natal chart or versus like pulling up the chart for right now. So if you're just pulling up the transits for right now. So we are thinking through those things. What those views are actually going to look like is really sort of still up in the air.
Yeah.
And we really haven't buttoned that down yet. Probably what we won't spend a lot of time on is trying to make a full wheel chart work on mobile.
No,
Um,
there's no
there's
point.
there's there's already a ton of stuff that tries to do that, and I would say I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever personally experienced one that does that well.
No,
And I think it's just the form factor is just not
right.
going to be great for that kind of
The
use
problem is,
case.
sorry for my weird random these are my wallpapers. But the problem is that this form factor being very rectangular, trying to put a circle in here is just kind of like a not very smart way of doing it. Now, if we had a form factor or the kind of predominant form factor on our phones was square screens, a circle would make sense. But because we have very much like we have all this vertical real estate, we're playing with ways in design, sketching to see what a vertical chart might look like and what are the things you would want to see and what are the things you more importantly don't want to see because that's the more important thing in when
Yeah,
designing.
yeah. How do we get down? How do we honor those workflows that you want to do on in a mobile case, yeah, and make those really effective, but then still give you this very like deep and rich sort of larger screen experience. And the great thing about the fact that we're delivering this as a web delivered product is that we could do what's called a PWA or a progressive web app. The details here don't matter, but basically it's like it makes your web application feel like a native application on your phone and could do things like give you notifications and stuff like that. And we can provide all of these different experiences simply based on screen real estate. So basically, just like what the size of the screen is, instead of necessarily like what device we're talking about. Like saying like, oh, this is a mobile device versus this is an iPad versus this is, or like a tablet sort of device versus this is a desktop. We can simply say like, okay, at this breakpoint, like at this size, we're going to give you the sort of desktop experience, and whether you're not on a tablet or not doesn't really matter because you have enough screen to give you that experience. And probably those use cases, the use cases for tablet are going to be more like a desktop use case, whereas the use cases for phone are going to be different.
And we'll
And
show you all this
so
stuff instead of
yeah,
just saying it in words, but we're going to show you this all eventually.
eventually.
Eventually. Great segue. So, the other part of what we had talked about that was happening here, let me go here first, was that we were fixing a lot of what we're calling design bugs, right? So, like things in the design, I just had mentioned that mobile screens will have to pare down what we show in a very intelligent way, taking into account the form factor of how people use their mobile devices, things like that. And I had noticed that there was a lot of cruft that had gathered up between these objects that were called point, something like Mercury or the North Node, things like that, or a point placement, Mercury or the North Node at uh, 2:20 p.m. on the 28th of February 1974 in Carson City, Nevada. There's a difference between the actual thing, planet Mercury, versus Mercury at a specific time and place, for example. And I can share my screen now. And this reminded me a lot of like when Trey was talking about like seeing the dispositor, for example, of a certain point placement. Um, what does how can we make sure that the design from a very like structural point of view show you the things that you would want to see and have it one tap or maybe two taps away the things you don't want to see. So I'm gonna go here for a second. And um, I'm writing down here around like stuff that's happening in my chart and where my dispositor is, and talking about like what is the trail of dispositors that goes all the way down, and where is mutual reception, and how to think about this. Anyways, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on like my random rantings and writings here, but just know that like we're making progress here. Sometimes that progress is seemingly slow because we have things to fix. And a lot of
Yeah.
this was a lot of fixing the way to do this cycle.
Yeah. And I think showing that stuff also like we talk a lot about our process and how we get to the answers that we get to, which is the thing that is going to result in us making amazing software. It's not the focus on the outcome; it's the focus on the process and how we get there,
Exactly.
which then will result in the thing that we want.
Exactly.
So It's the
I
sausage making. That's what our
it
show is about.
it's a sausage making. Saturday is a working day for us, but we're with family today, and for some reason they
Yeah.
don't respect our boundaries and know that we work on Saturday, and we have to go to a barbecue here,
Barbecue.
and I think people are coming. So, Mr. Henry, what would you like the viewer to do today?
Have a barbecue with your family. I mean, you probably just did that because of the 4th, but if you're in the United States. But if you're not in the United States, you don't need an Independence Day excuse. Just have a barbecue.
Just
Invite all
have a
your friends.
barbecue. You know what? Barbecue's something. Put something on open fire, cook it, and then eat it.
Yeah, with family and friends.
With family and friends. And if you don't have family and friends, then you're gonna
Get
have to
some.
call them while you do it. And yeah, get some. Come on, find some.
Yeah.
So okay, find some family and friends, force them to your barbecue, cook something, eat it. Have yourself a lovely weekend or whatever day that you will watch this. We love you very much. Be well. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.